One.
Hello. 12-step program. All right, I think it was like the 40s, 50s. This process was started by a group of Christians called the Oxford Group, particularly a few alcoholics that were trying to get better. And they would come together to meet, talk about their common problems, and they would brainstorm ways to help other people. It was a Christian organization in the beginning, but they found out that they were unable to help as many people because people were getting tuned off by the whole Jesus thing. So they thought they would take these principles of the Bible, minus the whole Jesus aspect, and apply them to people. The power lies in the principles of the 12 steps. And anybody can benefit from them because they have been created as tools by God. Because they're created by God, therefore they can help people. So I want to make 3 videos. This is the first one. Okay, I want to do 1 through 3, 4 through 9. I might just make 2 videos. Let's see. Don't get your hopes up here. Okay, because the last 3 steps there, I don't know if I'll need to make a whole video. Anyways, with that being said, I am going to do a very kind of just direct, simple explanations of each steps in these videos. But if you are somebody who really wants to be effective in this process, because guys, I'm here to tell you, everybody can benefit through going through the 12 steps. I personally believe that everybody should do, especially 1 through 9. 1 through 9. 4 through 9 process, which I'll get into. Anyways, if you're somebody who wants to help other people go through the steps, you have to read this book. This is the AA Bible, 12-step Bible, Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? Now, you don't need to maybe read this portion because it's a lot of just testimonies about drunks and people recovering. But the first 116 pages is going to be what you'll want to read, because it's going to help you understand. First, it's obviously talking about alcoholics and drug addicts, but it's going to detail the process a whole lot better and more in depth than I ever could in any videos that I could make, okay? Okay, step 1. First, what I usually do in the first meeting of somebody who wants to do these steps, we're in the church environment and we're dealing with primarily people with pornography addictions, right? Keep an eye on the time here. Okay. Pornography addictions is huge. Emotional addictions is huge. And then you're going to encounter people with other addictions. Food, video games, entertainment, and then obviously alcohol and drugs as well. So you're going to want to read the first pages of chapter 5 of how it works to them. Okay, I'm not going to read it all right now, but you can go online, you can look up Big Book AA, and you can get a PDF for free of this book, okay? It's going to be page 70. Depending on what edition you have. Of this book. Just look up chapter 5, how it works. Okay, all the way through this A, B, and C. They read this every AA meeting. And this is going to give you, and this is going to give them a clear understanding of what they are signing up for. It's going to give them the 12 steps, what they are. It's going to give them a description of the person what they're going to need to really do and commit to. Because it is a very thorough thing, right? He mentions half measures availed us nothing. There's going to be people who are on the brink of losing things, everything, dying, losing their family, their ministry, their jobs. And this is for them, right? This is for everybody. But anyways, chapter 5, how it works, read that to them, okay? Now, step 1 is, we admitted we were powerless over fill in the blank. Because remember, This is talking about alcoholics, but we're going to deal with people of many addictions. So here is where you fill in the blank. We admitted we were powerless over masturbation and pornography. We admitted we were powerless over eating. We admitted we were powerless over our self-control of emotional attachments, right? But in the end, we admitted we were powerless over self. Anybody, whether you don't struggle with any of these things, could put that there. You are powerless over the desires of your flesh completely, because whether you're an addict or not, you'd struggle with the flesh. Okay, so let's talk about this first one a little bit. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. They say that this is the only step out of all 12 that you have to do 100%. You have to know that you are powerless. Any people who have reservations about this, most likely they're not going to carry through with this process, because it's very thorough and it can be very difficult. Okay? You have to admit that you're powerless over said addiction. Now, when we read that our lives had become unmanageable, what does that mean? At the first glance, my life had become unmanageable. I might think of outward circumstances. I can't manage my life well, right? I can't get a job. I can't keep a job. I can't clean my room. I can't keep relationships. I can't blah, blah, blah. True, that might be a fruit of addiction, but that's not what this is talking about. And like I said, other parts of this book are going to explain that better. What this is a spiritual malady or sickness deep within every person that struggles with this. In the world, every person has a spiritual malady. In our language, we would say they're separated from God. But the person who goes to the drug, goes to the substance, goes to the act, they are fulfilling a need within themselves that they have not found elsewhere. And it makes them feel good, and they continue it. So, what is the spiritual malady? It is the inability to cope with the feelings associated with life, apart from Jesus, apart from God, right? Now, there is a chapter called The Doctor's Opinion, and he's writing about his observations on alcoholics and drug addicts. And his observation about them applies to you and to me, whoever you are. We are irritable, restless, and discontent people until we find something or someone that relieves that tension within us. When we're in the world, we go to things, people, places. When we're with Jesus, He is the desire of our heart. So you're going to be dealing with somebody who has the inability to cope with the feelings associated with life, okay? They're irritable, restless, and discontent, and they are choosing to go to this substance to relieve themselves. You have to explain that to them. Now, there are a few questions that you can ask this person to help them understand that they are an addict of whatever kind. The first one is, and probably the main one is, when the moment comes that you honestly, really, really want to change, you found that you could not. You were going to lose this, you're going to, your physical health is doing this, your relationships are crashing, burning around you, but you still go back. And this is the thing that you're doing that's causing all this stuff, stemming from the spiritual malady, right? If you are finding yourself in that position, you are 95% an addict, because you have not been able to cut this thing on your own power. You are therefore powerless, and your life inwardly had become unmanageable. That's step one. Step two. Some steps are very simple. Some steps need a little bit of explanation. Okay? Step two. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Now, again, we are going to adapt this for our language as believers in Jesus, right? So we are going to say, came to believe that Jesus could restore us to sanity. Now, what is sanity? It's doing something. It's funny how everybody knows this definition. I don't know how, but it's doing something over and over again, expecting different results. People think that they can dibble and they can dabble and get away with it and not have the same problems that they've been facing. But Jesus is going to restore you psychologically. This is the process. This is the transformation that has to occur. Spiritually, psychologically, and physically. If you're dealing with substance abuse or pornography addiction or food addiction, anything physical, okay? Spiritually is the root. Psychological is the next level, and then physical after that, okay? What we're looking for is a psychological transformation. 4 through 9 takes care of that. But step 2, you look the person dead in the eyes and you just simply say, do you believe that Jesus can restore you back to sanity, give you recovery, bring sobriety to your life? Do you really believe that? Because, hey, you might be discipling this person for several months, but deep down inside them, they don't really believe it. They don't really believe that Jesus can help them because they've struggled with this for so long, or whatever the case may be. You look them in the eye, say, do you believe that Jesus can heal you, restore you? And you take their word for it. Let's move on to the third step. Third step is the altar call, so to speak. Okay? Third step is like the altar call. It's the, do you want to get your alliance kind of question. Okay? It's made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of Jesus. Okay? Now, the book is going to detail this step very well. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of Jesus. Now, you might say, well, this person already has their alliance with Jesus. True, they could have their alliance with Jesus, but we're dialing into this addiction. You have not given this over to Jesus. You have not allowed him to really crucify this in your life. So step 3 is a count the cost moment. Are you sure that you want to go through 4 through 9? Because this is the process. This is the chunk that's going to bring the work. That's going to bring the, whoa. These are traumas. These are repressions that I haven't felt, with fears and harms that I've done to other people. 3 is asking, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? Okay? Now, he talks about selfishness, self-centeredness. Okay? He talks about how we must be rid of ego. We must be rid of self. Self will run riot, destroys us. So emphasize to the person, remember, read the book, okay? And especially chapter 5, chapter 4, okay? These, chapter 6, I believe, as well, into action. I forget. I think that's 7. I don't know. Anyways, you get the point. Okay? Self has to be crucified. And step 3 is a decision to do that. Okay? So that's steps 1 through 3. All right? You can knock these out in one meeting with a person, especially if you've let them know ahead of time, hey, I think we need to work the 12 steps. I think you need to do this. And they're willing and they're ready and they want to change. You don't need to prolong the process. The only thing that sometimes I do is I give them some literature to read. Typically it's this, because that's going to show me that they're invested. I'm not just going to show up and be like, okay, you're good, let's start. No, it's like, here, read this 100 pages this week, which is totally doable, and come back to me with what you've learned, and we'll carry forward, and I'm able to help them understand what they read better. So that's a suggestion, is that you give them some homework. It could be write out a prayer to God. They call it a step 3 prayer, 3rd step prayer. They have an example of that in the book. Google's 3rd step prayer page in the big book, okay? Have them go home and write a 3rd step prayer, dedicating this addiction, consecrating their lives to Jesus in this area, right? Give them some homework. You can do these first 3 steps in one meeting or 2, okay? That's it for this video. Let's hop on over to steps 4 through 9, maybe 12, depending on how I feel. Love you guys. Keep it G.